These intentional policies resulted in murder as efficient as has ever been seen in human history.
You find that whole families actually die out, like 8 members in the family.
Many millions of people were killed, and given the fact that it was done within 1 year, I believe it is certainly comparable to the great genocides of the 20th century.
Most know that the horrors of the Holocaust resulted in the deaths of approximately 6 million Jews. But what many don't know is that the government-designed starvation in the Ukraine caused the deaths of between 7 and 10 million in just 1 year. None of this is meant to diminish the horrors of the Holocaust. The pure evil that inspired it is above question and must be remembered vividly and at all costs. Though, in addition, the other victims of vicious governments who have treated human life as nothing but a speed bump to their grand design must also be remembered.
It is not just the number of people, it's the national culture also. Imagine how many writers, artists, all of them perished.
One of the most disgusting things about the way we talk about communism is you have people talk about it as if it was this well-intentioned social experiment. But even at the level of first principles, of the sort of planning sessions, it was planned and premeditated mass murder on a massive scale.
Paired with the newest devices of destruction.
All the while supported by prominent media members. The New York Times now acknowledges their role in the propping up of Stalin's regime by their reporter, Walter Duranty. He called the forced famine in the Ukraine mostly bunk and viciously justified the millions dead by saying, you can't make an omelet without breaking eggs.
Because of this information, many people in the West reacted quite passively to what happened in Ukraine. Duranty was there and his position was pro-Soviet. I think he did a lot of harm to the truth at that time.
He reported, no, there is no famine in Ukraine, but there is widespread mortality due to diseases of malnutrition.
Yet, still, even in August of last year, the Times wrote in a book review that despite the fact that Friedrich Engels, one of the founders of communism, was an advocate of ethnic cleansing, he would have been a fine man to drink with. And it is surely true that Engels' larger critique of capitalism resonates down the ages.
Але визнати цю трагедію – це не тільки визнати геноцид українського народу. Це треба визначити злочинність не тільки сталінського режиму, а самого комуністичного ладу. А це, на мій погляд, ще досить складна дискусія для дуже багатьох людей. І, на жаль, в тому числі і Європі.
And apparently, here in America as well. It is up to us to know the truth so our children don't face the same threat ever again. Each year, Ukrainians gather to remember the Holodomor by lighting 25,000 candles. Why 25,000? Because during this intentional famine, they lost 25,000 people every single day. Allowing this to happen one more time would be unforgivable.
The totalitarian system established by Stalin was responsible for murdering millions of innocent people in the most horrendous way, and nobody was interested in knowing about it. The question is, what kind of people are we?
In case you're still not convinced that the famine was intentional, during our exclusive interview for this documentary with President Viktor Yushchenko of the Ukraine, he said that during the famine of the Ukrainian people, They needed 10 million tons of grain to avoid hunger. They produced 12.2 million tons. Now, you've seen his face everywhere, maybe on your son or daughter's T-shirts, but hopefully you will soon realize why that has got to stop.
I guess we have to make a choice. Giselle in a bikini. This is how to learn about history. You see, this is the hottest supermodel in the world. What is this? This is Che. And this, too, is Che. And so is this. He's a fashion icon among his revolutionary peers, and he is everywhere. In fact, all of this is Che. Ernesto Che Guevara.
There's the famous T-shirt. It is so famous, in fact, that you can buy T-shirts that have images of the T-shirt on it. Che's image, it sells beer, it sells lighters, it sells belt buckles, it sells baby onesies.
Why are you risking your life to fight for us?
And nowhere is Che seemingly loved more than in Hollywood, USA.
You'll see. When Fidel's running things, everybody will read and have food on the table.
But is that who Che really was?
One of the things that is fascinating about the cult of Che is that it effectively thrives in the absence of any kind of historical understanding.
For example, look around at an anti-war rally, and you'll probably see Che.
Che was a self-taught revolutionary who was instrumental in Castro's takeover of Cuba. He became known as the Butcher of La Cabana prison in revolutionary Cuba, where he personally oversaw the execution of anywhere from 175 to several hundred people. He's implicated in thousands of deaths that come after that.
14,000 men and boys were executed in Cuba during the 1960s.
He said that his dream was to become a killing machine. He said to his revolutionary comrades, if they weren't sure of someone's loyalty, if in doubt, kill him. These are the realities that we need to understand about Che.
You could probably call him clinically a sadist. When you read his diaries, he goes into particular detail about when he himself shoots people in the head.
But it goes beyond war. Go to a rock concert, and you're sure to see Che.
This is a man who tried to ban free expression, particularly musical expression such as rock music and jazz music, because he thought it was imperialist. He was the Caribbean equivalent of the Taliban. He enforced a single moralistic viewpoint, and if you didn't agree with him, you would be killed.
One of my favorite is Carlos Santana. At the 2005 Oscars, naturally, the Motorcycle Diaries won an Oscar, and Carlos Santana went there to play the theme song for it. Well, he was wearing a Che Guevara t-shirt. Carlos Santana was showing off the emblem of a regime that made it a criminal offense to listen to Carlos Santana music.
But surely Che was a progressive and uniting force on race, right?
He says, the Negro is lazy and indolent and spends all of his money on frivolities and booze, whereas the European is intelligent and forward-looking. This is from his own diaries, yet we've got Jesse Jackson down there. Viva Che! We've got Jay-Z with a song with the lyrics, I'm just like Che Guevara with a bling on.
I'm like Che Guevara with bling on. I'm complex.
Maybe he is complex. Either that or this guy doesn't know that this guy would have thought that this guy was nothing but a frivolous, lazy drunk just because of the color of his skin. So what's wrong with